Have you ever stood entirely still in the middle of a crowded room? Or perhaps on a bustling city sidewalk? Completely surrounded by the deafening, relentless roar of modern human existence, and felt a sudden crushing weight pressing down on your chest? It is a peculiar, almost suffocating sensation. It usually strikes when you are least expecting it. You are simply going about your day, running the endless gauntlet of errands, responsibilities, and societal expectations, when suddenly, the sheer, unadulterated absurdity of it all hits you like a physical blow. Life, by its very definition, is undeniably exhaustingly hard. We are thrust into this world without our consent, handed a script we never wrote, and expected to perform our roles with a smile. We wake up to the aggressive, unnatural blare of digital alarms. We pour scalding caffeine down our throats to trick our ancient, tired biology into a state of hyper-alertness. We sit in gridlocked traffic, surrounded by thousands of other metal boxes, each containing a perfectly unique, deeply complex human being who is also just trying to make it to a job they likely tolerate, at best, to pay for a life they are too exhausted to fully enjoy. And then there are the minor tragedies, the microscopic inconveniences that, for some inexplicable reason, possess the psychological power to completely shatter our emotional equilibrium. The other day, I bought a brand new pair of shoes. It was a modest purchase, a tiny injection of dopamine in an otherwise routine week. I laced them up, admiring the pristine leather, feeling a brief fleeting sense of accomplishment. I walked out the front door, stepping out into a sudden, unpredicted downpour of rain, and within seconds, my foot plunged deep into a hidden pool of thick, dark mud. The shoes were instantly ruined, soaked, stained, and irreversibly damaged. In that exact moment, a profound, almost comical wave of bitterness washed over me. In that exact moment, I felt a genuine, visceral anger at the sky, at the pavement, at the universe itself, for this microscopic injustice. My entire day was derailed. My mood was shattered. I allowed the destruction of dyed leather and stitched rubber to dictate my internal reality. But then, as the cold rain continued to fall, soaking my shoulders and washing the mud further into the fabric of my ruined shoes, I took a deep, deliberate breath. I took a step back, not just physically, but psychologically. I forced my mind to zoom out. I watched myself standing there in the rain, a tiny, frustrated biological organism clinging to a wet rock, suspended in an infinite void. I looked at the people rushing past me, heads ducked under umbrellas, eyes glued to glowing rectangles of glass, all entirely consumed by their own microscopic crises, their own ruined shoes, their own missed trains, their own impending deadlines. And in that moment of sudden crystal-clear detachment, a deeply comforting, almost terrifying realization washed over me. I came to a profound, inescapable conclusion that has the power to either shatter your worldview or entirely liberate your soul. Nothing really matters. Nothing in this life, nothing in your day, nothing in the grand, sweeping narrative of human history really truly matters. Now, before you recoil from that statement, before you dismiss this as the cynical rambling of a defeated pessimist, I urge you to stay with me. I urge you to look closer at the sheer, terrifying, beautiful scale of the reality we inhabit, because this realization is not a tragedy. It is not a declaration of defeat. It is, in fact, the single most liberating truth you will ever encounter. To understand why nothing matters is to finally understand how to actually live. Let us truly zoom out. Let us abandon our microscopic human perspective and adopt the lens of the cosmos. Consider the ground beneath your feet and adopt this blue and green marble we call home. The Earth has been spinning in the dark, silent vacuum of space for roughly 4.5 billion years. Let that number truly sink into your consciousness. 4.5 billion years. For the vast, overwhelming majority of that incomprehensible stretch of time, you did not exist. I did not exist. Humanity was not even a whisper of a dream in the chaotic, boiling cauldron of early planetary formation. The Earth was a violent, molten hellscape, bombarded by asteroids, choked by toxic gases, completely devoid of anything resembling life. Millions of years passed in total, deafening silence. Oceans formed. Microscopic, single-celled organisms blinked into existence, living and dying by the trillions in absolute obscurity. Continents shifted, collided, and broke apart. Mountains were pushed up toward the sky and slowly ground down into dust by the relentless friction of wind and water. Whole dynasties of magnificent, terrifying creatures rose to absolute dominance, ruling the planet for hundreds of millions of years, only to be entirely wiped out by a single random rock falling from the sky, leaving nothing behind but fossilized bones buried deep in the dirt. And then, just one day, in the grand cosmic calendar, merely a fraction of a microsecond ago, a specific lineage of primates began to walk upright. We discovered fire. We painted on cave walls. We forged tools. We formed tribes. We became conscious. We suddenly looked up at the glittering canopy of the night sky and asked, why are we here? We are the universe experiencing itself, a bizarre, highly improbable, biological anomaly. The conditions required for our existence are so incredibly precise, so astronomically unlikely, that our presence here is nothing short of a statistical miracle. We happen to exist on a planet located exactly at the right distance from a stable, burning star. Our world is perfectly shielded by a magnetic field that deflects lethal solar radiation. We are blessed with an atmosphere that holds just the right cocktail of oxygen and nitrogen, allowing us to draw breath without burning our lungs. Gravity is perfectly calibrated to hold us to the surface without crushing our bones. The temperature is perfectly balanced to allow water to exist in a liquid state, the absolute prerequisite for the biological machinery of our bodies. This world, when you truly look at it, seems entirely perfect for us. It feels as though it was meticulously, carefully designed with our exact specifications in mind. It is not scorching hot. It is not deathly cold. It feels like a beautiful, lush garden built specifically for human habitation. But this is the grand illusion of consciousness. This is the arrogant bias of the survivor. We look around and think the universe was made for us, simply because we are the ones here to observe it. But the terrifying reality is that we are just a fleeting, temporary adaptation to a highly specific, temporary environment. We fit perfectly into the mold of the earth because we were forged in it, shaped by billions of years of brutal, unforgiving natural selection. We are not the masters of this domain. We are merely its temporary guests. Every single day on this planet, the cosmic lottery of life continues to spin. Right now, on this very day, roughly 360,000 new human beings will be born into this world. 360,000 tiny, fragile, conscious entities taking their very first breath, crying out into the sterile air of hospital rooms or the quiet warmth of a modest home. 360,000 completely new universes of thought, potential, and emotion blinking into existence. Out of those hundreds of thousands of people who share the exact same birthday, a small fraction will go on to do things that society deems extraordinary. A small fraction. They will become brilliant scientists, charismatic leaders, visionary artists, or fearless explorers. They will invent technologies that alter the course of human history. They will write symphonies that bring millions to tears. They will leave a massive, indelible mark on the cultural fabric of our species. But the vast, overwhelming majority of those 360,000 people will not. Most of them will live quiet, ordinary, unremarkable lives. They will grow up, go to school, fall in love, experience heartbreak, work a job they tolerate, pay their taxes, experience moments of profound joy and deep sorrow, grow old, and eventually, quietly, they will die. Their names will be inscribed on a stone in a quiet graveyard, slowly weathered away by the rain and the wind, until a few generations pass, and they are entirely, absolutely forgotten. And you must understand, that is perfectly okay. That is not a failure. That is the fundamental nature of existence. That just happens. We have constructed a societal narrative that demands greatness, that equates a meaningful life with historical permanence, but the universe does not care about our history books. To truly understand our insignificance, we must lift our eyes from the dirt of the earth and gaze into the terrifying, magnificent depths of the cosmos. The earth is just one single tiny fragile planet. It is a microscopic speck of dust, floating in a single solar system. In our local neighborhood, there are 8 recognized planets, or 9, depending on your nostalgic attachment to Pluto. For the entirety of human history, as far as we knew, this was the sum total of existence. We believed we were the center of the universe, the crown jewel of creation. It is only incredibly recently, in the mere blink of an eye on the cosmic scale, that we have developed the technological capability to peer beyond our own stellar backyard. What we have found is staggering. It defies human comprehension. What we have to date, astronomers have discovered over 4,000 exoplanets, planets orbiting other stars, far beyond the reach of our own sun. 4,000 worlds. And that is only what we have been able to detect in our immediate, microscopic vicinity. We have found planets that mirror our own, rocky worlds suspended in the habitable zones of their respective stars, possessing the right size, the right density, the right temperature to potentially harbor liquid water. We look at these distant, silent spheres, separated from us by unimaginable, insurmountable gulfs of light years, and we cannot help but wonder, is there anything looking back? Is there another civilization out there, gazing up at their own night sky, wondering if they are alone? Given the sheer mind-bending mathematics of the universe, it is almost impossible to accept that we are the only conscious entities in existence. It takes a profound level of arrogance to assume that in a universe so incomprehensibly vast, the miracle of life only occurred exactly once on this specific, random rock. Yet, despite our advanced radio telescopes, despite our desperate ongoing search for signals in the dark, we have heard absolutely nothing. There are no signs of megastructures. There are no radio broadcasts. There are no alien probes. There is only a deep, profound, terrifying silence. This is the Great Silence, the Fermi Paradox. If there are so many planets, so many opportunities for life to arise, why haven't we seen it? Why are the heavens so quiet? Perhaps we are indeed alone. Perhaps consciousness is an anomaly so incredibly rare that it only happens once in a billion galaxies. Or perhaps the universe is teeming with life, but the distances between us are simply too vast, the chasms of space-time too wide to ever cross. We are trapped on our lonely island, surrounded by an ocean of dark vacuum, waiting for a message in a bottle that will never, ever arrive. To grasp the true nature of our isolation, we must fully comprehend the scale of the structure we are trapped inside. We belong to the Milky Way galaxy, a massive swirling spiral disk of gas, dust, and stars. Do you know how many stars exist just in our galaxy alone? Over 200 billion. 200 billion burning suns, many of them with their own complex solar systems, their own orbiting worlds, their own endless possibilities. You could spend your entire lifetime doing nothing but counting stars, and you would not even scratch the surface of our own galaxy. But the Milky Way is just a single isolated neighborhood. We are part of what is known as the local group, a collection of roughly 30 neighboring galaxies gravitationally bound to one another. And beyond our local group lies the wider universe, an expanse so incredibly vast that the human brain literally lacks the cognitive hardware to visualize it. When we look through the lenses of the Hubble and James Webb Space Telescopes, we see a universe that contains hundreds of billions of entire galaxies. Every single point of light in those deep space images is not a star, but a whole galaxy, containing hundreds of billions of stars of its own. The sheer, overwhelming volume of matter, energy, and space is enough to induce a profound sense of existential vertigo. And within this unimaginable expanse, what are we? We are nothing. We are microscopic, highly complex chemical reactions clinging to a wet rock, hurtling through the dark at thousands of miles an hour. We are so incredibly small, so entirely insignificant, that if the Earth were to be suddenly, violently vaporized by a rogue black hole tomorrow, the rest of the universe would not even notice. The grand cosmic dance of gravity and light would continue entirely uninterrupted. The silence would remain completely unbroken, to cope with this overwhelming vastness, to attempt to impose some semblance of order on the chaotic infinite, humanity invented a concept. We created something entirely out of nothing. We called it time. We looked at the rotation of our planet, the orbit of the moon, the steady, rhythmic changing of the seasons, and we sliced reality into neat, mathematical units. We invented seconds. We invented minutes. We invented hours, days, months, and years. We built intricate ticking machines to measure it. We strapped them to our wrists. We mounted them on our walls. We allowed the relentless forward march of the clock to dictate every single aspect of our existence. But time, as we define it, does not truly exist. It is a strictly human construct, a biological tool designed to help our primitive ape brains track the passing of seasons for agriculture, to coordinate hunts, to establish social order. The universe does not care about our seconds. The universe does not recognize our hours. The universe operates on a scale of time so incredibly vast, so utterly alien to our biological lifespan, that our human clocks are nothing more than a child's toy. We live, if we are incredibly lucky, for about 80 years, 80 trips around our local star. In the context of a human life, 80 years feels like an eternity. It is enough time to learn, to grow, to build a career, to raise a family, to witness the shifting of cultural paradigms. But on the cosmic timeline, an 80-year human lifespan is not even a blip. It is a microscopic fraction of a millisecond. The universe as we know it, born from the explosive, incomprehensible energy of the Big Bang, has been expanding and evolving for 13.8 billion years. 13.8 billion. Try to wrap your mind around that number. You cannot. As much as you think you understand the lifespan of the universe, you truly cannot put it into an imaginable scale. Lifespan of the universe. On the scale of a single human life, the universe is unbelievably, impossibly ancient. But here is the paradox that truly shatters human intuition. In terms of the actual ultimate lifespan of the universe, this reality has barely even begun. The universe is practically an infant. It is in the very earliest stages of its dawn. We can look up at the stars and use the precise, rigid laws of astrophysics and mathematics to predict exactly what will happen in the deep, unfathomable future. We can map out the next hundreds of trillions of years of the universe's life, and what the mathematics tell us is a story of beautiful, terrifying, absolute destruction. Let us fast forward. Let us leave the comforting microscopic scale of human history behind and travel deep into the cosmic future. In roughly 4.5 billion years, our peaceful, isolated existence in the Milky Way will come to a violent, spectacular end. Andromeda, our massive neighboring galaxy, is currently hurtling toward us through the dark vacuum of space at an unimaginable speed. It is a cosmic collision course that cannot be altered, cannot be stopped, and cannot be avoided. 4.5 billion years from now, Andromeda will slam directly into the Milky Way. The two massive spiraling giants will pass through one another, engaging in a billion-year gravitational dance of destruction and rebirth. Stars will be thrown out into the empty void. Massive clouds of gas will violently compress, triggering the birth of millions of new, burning suns. The night sky, if anyone were left on Earth to see it, would be a blinding, chaotic tapestry of colliding light. Eventually, the two separate galaxies will merge completely, settling into a single, massive, featureless elliptical galaxy. By the time this grand cosmic merger is complete, humanity, and anything that remembers us, will be long, long gone. Because closer to home, our own sun is dying. Gone. Our star, the reliable burning sphere of plasma that has nurtured life on Earth for billions of years, is slowly exhausting its nuclear fuel. In about 5 billion years, the sun will reach the end of its stable, main sequence life. Its core will contract, and its outer layers will begin to violently, uncontrollably expand. Our sun will transform into a massive, terrifying red giant. It will swell to hundreds of times its current size, turning the sky a blinding, fiery red. It will swallow the inner planets. Mercury will be vaporized. Venus will be consumed. And then, the expanding, burning edge of the sun will reach Earth. The oceans, the beautiful vast oceans that birthed the first microscopic cells, will rapidly boil away into thick, choking steam. The atmosphere will be entirely stripped away by intense, lethal solar winds. The surface of the Earth, the mountains, the valleys, the cities we built, the graveyards where we buried our dead, will be melted down into a glowing, featureless sea of molten magma. The Earth will be entirely consumed, shining with a heat 3,000 times brighter than it does today. The dying sun will completely erase every single physical trace that humanity ever existed. But even the sun will not last forever. After it sheds its outer layers, puffing them away into a beautiful glowing planetary nebula, only a tiny, incredibly dense glowing core will remain. A white dwarf, a stellar corpse slowly cooling in the dark. This is the fate of all stars in the universe. Fast forward hundreds of billions of years. The grand, brilliant era of star formation will come to an end. The vast clouds of gas and dust required to birth new suns will be entirely exhausted. One by one, like candles blowing out in a massive, dark cathedral, the stars will begin to die. The massive blue giants will violently detonate in brilliant, blinding supernovae, leaving behind crushing black holes or rapidly spinning neutron stars. Leaving behind the smaller red dwarfs will slowly, quietly fade away over trillions of years. Eventually, the universe will enter the degenerate era. The cosmos will become a vast, freezing, incredibly dark graveyard. The only things remaining will be the dead remnants of stars. White dwarfs, brown dwarfs, neutron stars, and the silent, terrifying, invisible gravity wells of black holes. The universe will be pitch black. No new light will be born. The brilliant, glowing galaxies we see in our telescopes today will be nothing more than cold, dead embers drifting further and further apart. And they will drift apart faster and faster. This is the dark, silent killer of the cosmos. Dark energy. We do not know what it is. We do not know what it is made of. But we can clearly see its terrifying effects. Dark energy is an invisible, repulsive force that makes up roughly 70% of our universe, and it is actively stretching the very fabric of space-time itself. It is pushing everything away from everything else. It is expanding the universe faster than the speed of light. Eventually, the expansion will become so incredibly rapid, so overwhelmingly powerful, that the space between galaxies will stretch beyond the limits of light itself. If any conscious beings happen to evolve in this deep, dark future, they will look up at their night sky and see absolutely nothing. They will see no other galaxies. They will see no distant stars. The light from those distant objects will simply never be able to reach them, because the space between them is expanding too quickly. They will believe, with absolute, terrifying certainty, that their tiny, isolated, dying solar system is the only thing that exists in an infinite, pitch-black void. They will be entirely, profoundly alone. But even this dark era will not last. Because in the extreme deep future, we enter the black hole era. The dead stars, the planets, the frozen remnants of galaxies will either be flung out into the infinite nothingness, or they will be slowly, relentlessly, pulled into the crushing singularity of supermassive black holes. The universe will become a sparse, empty void populated only by these massive, invisible spheres of infinite gravity. They will consume everything. They will swallow light. They will swallow matter. They will swallow the very concept of time itself. For an unimaginable stretch of time, a time frame measured in googles of years, a number so large it requires a 1 followed by 100 zeros just to write down, these black holes will be the absolute monarchs of the universe, cold, dark, and utterly silent. But even black holes are not immortal. Through a mind-bending process discovered by physicist Stephen Hawking, known as Hawking radiation, these incredible gravity wells will slowly, imperceptibly, begin to leak mass. Over the span of a googolplex of years, these black holes will slowly evaporate. One subatomic particle at a time, they will bleed their energy out into the freezing, empty void. It is a death so agonizingly slow that human mathematics struggles to accurately convey the time frame. But eventually, one by one, the black holes will finally evaporate, ending their lives in microscopic, invisible flashes of light. And then, after the last black hole fades out of existence, there will be nothing left. Absolutely nothing. The universe will reach its ultimate, final state. The heat death, the big freeze. Entropy will reach its maximum. All the energy in the universe will be perfectly evenly distributed across an infinite expanse of space. There will be no heat. There will be no light. There will be no movement, no chemical reactions, no stars, no planets, no black holes, no atoms. The temperature of the entire universe will approach absolute zero. Time itself will cease to have any functional meaning because nothing will ever happen again. There will be no events to measure. There will be no changes to record. Just a cold, dark, infinitely expanding void, perfectly still, perfectly silent, forever. The universe will be dead. Now, pause. Breathe. If you have followed me down this incredibly dark, terrifying rabbit hole of cosmic time, you might be feeling a profound sense of existential dread. You might be feeling a crushing, overwhelming sense of futility. If the universe is destined to end in absolute freezing nothingness, if all of our history, our art, our science, our love, and our pain will eventually be completely erased by the relentless march of entropy, then what is the point of any of this? Why do we wake up? Why do we strive? Why do we care about ruined shoes in the rain? This is the precipice of nihilism. It is the terrifying realization that the universe does not care about you, that there is no grand cosmic plan, that your existence is an accident, and your destiny is oblivion. But I promised you earlier that this realization is not a tragedy. I promised you that this is the ultimate liberation, because here is the profound, beautiful flip side of existential dread. Optimistic nihilism. If the universe has no inherent purpose, if there is no grand cosmic scorecard recording your failures and your successes, then you are absolutely, completely, and terrifyingly free. You are not a tiny cog in a massive divine machine. You are not a predetermined actor playing out a written script. If the universe is meaningless, then the only meaning that exists is the meaning you actively choose to create. Think about the sheer, unimaginable relief of that fact. If nothing you do matters in the grand scheme of the cosmos, then your mistakes do not matter either. That incredibly embarrassing thing you said to a stranger 5 years ago? The universe does not care. That massive career failure that made you feel completely worthless. In a million years, the earth will be swallowed by the sun, and your failure will be reduced to ash. The social anxiety, the fear of judgment, the crushing pressure to meet arbitrary societal expectations, they are all entirely meaningless. We are a species of highly evolved apes, clinging to a wet rock, hurtling through a cold, indifferent vacuum. Why on earth should you spend your incredibly brief, highly improbable fraction of a millisecond of consciousness worrying about what another ape thinks of your clothes? You get one life. You get one incredibly rare, bizarre opportunity to experience the phenomenon of consciousness. You are the universe waking up, opening its eyes, and looking back at itself. The atoms in your body were forged in the burning, crushing cores of dying stars billions of years ago. You are literally made of star stuff. You are the cosmos made manifest, granted a fleeting moment of self-awareness before you are returned to the silent dust. Because we are entirely isolated in this one specific moment of space and time, because there is no external cosmic judge, we have a profound, beautiful responsibility to ourselves. We have to decide what matters. We get to define our own purpose. If nothing inherently matters, then everything you choose to care about matters immensely. The smell of coffee on a cold morning, the sound of rain hitting a tin roof, the warmth of a dog sleeping at your feet, the deeply profound, entirely illogical, beautiful phenomenon of human love. These things are not objectively important to a universe of black holes and dark energy, but they are subjectively, fundamentally important to you. And you are the only judge that actually exists. We have to play with the cards we have been dealt. We have been handed an incredibly strange, terrifying, beautiful existence on a planet that is undeniably harsh and completely unforgiving. On a planet, we have to deal with diseases, with natural disasters, with heartbreak, with mortality, and yes, with ruined shoes in the mud. But we also get to experience the profound, sheer joy of creation. We get to build things. We get to write stories. We get to paint, to sing, to explore the physical world, and the boundless landscapes of our own minds. If the universe is expanding towards an inevitable, freezing nothingness, then the warmth of human connection is the most rebellious, beautiful act imaginable. We are huddled together around a tiny flickering campfire in the middle of a massive, dark, freezing forest. The fire will eventually go out. The darkness will eventually consume us. But while the fire is burning, while we have light and warmth, why wouldn't we share stories? Why wouldn't we laugh? Why wouldn't we comfort each other in the dark? There is a very real chance that we are entirely alone in this universe. There is a chance that human consciousness is the only time the universe will ever truly know itself. If that is true, if we are the sole lonely observers of this grand cosmic spectacle, then our responsibility is not to despair. Our responsibility is to observe, to experience, to bear witness to the terrifying, magnificent beauty of it all. You do not have to conquer the world to have a meaningful life. You do not have to leave a legacy that lasts 1,000 years. 1,000 years is nothing. 1,000,000 years is nothing. Your legacy will inevitably be swallowed by time. So let go of the pressure. Let go of the desperate, exhausting need to be fundamentally significant to a universe that simply does not possess the capacity to care. Embrace the beautiful absurdity of your existence. Forgive yourself for your failures. Forgive others for their flaws. We are all just terrified, conscious apes trying to navigate a reality we do not understand. Find the things that bring you a sense of peace. Build a life that feels authentic to your own internal compass. Peace. The next time you step into a puddle of mud and ruin your shoes, the next time you feel the crushing, overwhelming weight of daily existence pressing down on your chest, I want you to remember the cosmic scale. I want you to remember the dying stars, the expanding void, the evaporating black holes, and the incredibly brief, bright flash of your own consciousness. The universe is going to spend trillions upon trillions of years in cold, silent, pitch-black nothingness. The era of light, the era of stars, the era of life is just a fleeting microscopic spark in the dark. You are alive during the spark. You get to witness the light. It does not matter how or why we came to exist. It does not matter that it will all eventually fade away into a freezing silence. What matters is that right now, in this incredibly specific, highly improbable fraction of a second, you are here. You are breathing. You are aware. So take a deep breath. Look up at the sky. Marvel at the sheer, terrifying, beautiful scale of the cosmic machine. And then, look back down at the earth, at your messy, complicated, profoundly beautiful life. You have absolutely nothing to lose. Because in the grand scheme of things, there is nothing to hold on to. The void is waiting, but it is not here yet. So while you have the time, while you have the light, while you have this one bizarre, beautiful chance at existence, just try to enjoy the ride.